Bring the village board meeting to order. We're a few minutes delayed because our previous committee of the whole meeting went a little bit long. Apologies for that, but we'll bring this to order. And we need a roll call.
Washburn. Here. Bhatia.
Here.
Doxy.
Here.
Karis.
Here.
Venturini.
Here.
Anastasio.
Here.
DeGroot.
He's here. So I'd like to go to the first item, which is a presentation of Racine. Oh, excuse me, I've got Pledge of Allegiance. So now we could move on to the presentation, and it's the Racine County Summer Youth Jobs Initiative. We have a Mount Pleasant graduation ceremony honoring intern Bruce Smith. Maureen.
This is so much fun that I get to speak to you from this vantage point. It's very interesting. You all look fabulous tonight. So let me begin by telling you that years ago, County Executive Delagrave, matter of fact, you all have thank you notes in your packets from 2021 and to 2024. It's a program that Jonathan Delagrave very much supported. It came out of an analysis that was done by Racine County. The Worst Cities for Black Americans was the analysis that was performed. And this was an intern program that was created to better our communities. So we've been investing in it here in the village of Mount Pleasant for the last several years. And it is a wonderful place for us to put our tax dollars, roughly a couple $1,000s a year. I have a feeling you're going to get a request to increase that just a little bit later on. But this year we did something wonderful. We decided to, instead of just putting our money where our mouth is, we thought it would be good if we invested in a human. So we found this wonderful intern through Alfonso and Karen. They're from the program. And they're going to talk a little bit of, well, I think Alfonso is going to come up and talk, but we decided to invest in a human. His name is Bruce Smith. I think he's related to our village attorney, Chris Smith, by the way. He's a very smart young man, so let's hope that that's the case. But before I'm getting further into the awarding of the certificate, we want to bring up the person who was spending the most time with Bruce, and we had him spend time with Matt Prohaska with our special events program. So Matt, if you want to come on up.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us up here tonight. So a little bit about what we did here on the village. Because the youth program was a little set up that they were to be employed more regularly, I should say, than what we would consider here at the village. We took it as more of as a true internship. So Bruce had the opportunity not only to spend some time with me. He was in IT, the assessor's office. He spent the day with the fire department, the police department, public works and engineering, human resources and finance. I don't think I'm missing anybody. Okay. So we kind of took that opportunity to present different aspects of what the Village of Mount Pleasant and the local government has. So he spent those integral parts in there, but what really actually helped me a lot is behind the scenes for almost all of our concerts, with the exception of the last one, he was able to be instrumental in helping me set up every day and got a good taste of, what it takes to get an event of that size put together, but also the opportunities of, dabbling in each of our different events, learning different government aspects of things and stuff like that. So from our standpoint, it was hugely beneficial because we were able to teach him some, I think, valuable skills that our adults are utilizing and our youth, I think, should understand, especially working within government and how government plays. So with that, I want to thank you for a second. But as Marina mentioned, we couldn't do this program without the assistance of Racine County and everything like that. I'd like to introduce Alfonso Gardner up here to talk a little bit more about the program so you have a little bit better understanding on that.
Good evening, Board. You know, the youth of today will be our workforce for tomorrow. We have to get them some work experience, and this is what this program is all about. This program would not be here, kind of tearing up now, the late, great Jonathan Delagrade. I'm gonna tell you how it started. Jonathan wouldn't get mad because it's the truth. Jonathan called me one day about 4 years ago. He said, Al, I want to talk to you. We had a deep, deep heart conversation about his life and my life, where I come from. I said, Jonathan, the problem here, when I was a youth, I had a summer youth job every summer. They didn't have it no more around here. I said, that's why these youth are getting in trouble. Shooting, fighting, all this stuff. He took it to heart. So about a week later, he called me. He said, will you help me? I said, Jonathan, I'm retired, man. I worked 70-some years. He said, Al, I need you. I said, okay, Jonathan. We made an agreement. I told him that I would raise funds for this program. And everybody know me. I'll ask you. If you say no, I'll go to the next person. Because I'm fighting for people like him. Fighting to make sure they have an opportunity. And Jonathan agreed with it. 4 years going strong, next year it'll be 5 years. The youth need our help. All youth. Now, he's a man of color, but we got all in our program. We don't turn nobody away. They turn themselves away. You know, some youth get it and some don't. Let's be honest. But he got it, and I'm proud of him. I'm proud of my co-worker Karen. I'm proud of her. I couldn't do all this without her. She's a backbone, and I'll give it to her. She is. She put everything together. I just raised the money. And she'll call me when she needs me to go in and talk. But I want to thank Maureen. I want to thank that gentleman. And thank all of y'all for letting us do this. Now, like I said, I asked. I'm gonna leave all my cards for y'all up here. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here. I'm gonna give this lady 9 cards when I get done talking. And if you want to donate, you just hit me up. And 3, 4, because we are fighting for the future of Racine County. And this is what we're doing, is fighting for the youth of Racine County. So I want to thank you guys. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, Matt. Thank everybody in this room. Because this is what it's all about, helping youth. You don't help me. I got mine. I worked all my life. That's all I know how to do is work. But you help youth like him. So thank you. Thank you, Maureen, and thank you, Around. There you go. Y'all have a nice day.
All right, it's your turn. Come on up. Come on right up here. So what I liked working with Bruce, and I can say through my career, there's been now the second person who asked more questions that you didn't have answers for, that you could turn around and go, we're going to find them, we're going to do them together. He's only the second one that's ever done that, and I appreciate the challenge. But Bruce worked with all these departments and learned. I think that was probably the best part about all of it, is that he found his niche with a bunch of different IT and connected with our employees that we have here, which I said sounds wonderful that we can provide that to them, but he learned something from it, and that was our goal. So with that, we're going to Tammy come on up and present a certificate of completion and stuff to you, and thank you.
And I just want to thank you for your service, Bruce, and thank you for making this such a wonderful experience for the rest of the employees.
Oh.
Hey, why don't you guys come out in front of the podium for
Yeah.
a picture?
Do you want to say something? I'm going to make him talk. This is part of learning.
Okay. Wow, I'm scared.
That's okay. That's okay.
All right. I want to say that I'm thankful for being here. I mean, working with Matt, he's a wonderful guy. I talked to him throughout the day that we had worked here. Met a wonderful person over there and a wonderful person over there too. I had talked to all these people throughout my entire time coming here, trying to gain more to life and how to become a man throughout my time being here as well. Gaining this award is the most perfect thing in my life that I've ever had. I mean, having this time to be here and enjoy y'all and see everything is a wonderful achievement in my life. I wouldn't trade this for anything at all. Like he said, our youth is a thing that most people don't have. They don't have these things that I'm getting to uphold today. And being here is just a blessing, that's all I'll say. I want to thank Matt again for the time that I was here throughout, how many weeks?
8 weeks.
8 weeks. I've learned more than anything about him, being a person, a mentor, more like my best friend, to be honest.
But you gotta pick up the telephone and call him.
Yeah, that's what I need to do. But I'm thankful for Karen too. Like you said, there's other people, all skin color, that work throughout just like me, met and greet other people too in the program, and have a time to be blessed with this achievement as well. Thank you, Karen. And that's it. That's all I have to say.
Mr. President, if I might ask a question. Bruce, I remember meeting you this summer, and you were in a bunch of different offices, so you did get around, and I just think it's a wonderful program, and Alfonso, we are committed to Jonathan's program. What are you doing from here, Bruce? What's next? Are you off to college, school? Are you still in high school, honey? What's the deal?
I'm a senior right now for St. Catherine's High School, and I am going to college.
Very good.
But what changed my aspect and what I want to do for the near future is become a police officer because of this guy right here. He taught me more on work and establishing myself to the greater good, and I thank him for that, for real. Yeah, that's all I have to say for that one.
Well, congratulations, Bruce. Best of luck to you.
Can I get a couple of pictures up front here? We can stay back here.
Oh, boy.
If trustees want to gather around, we can be the backstop. Yeah, sure.
Change the order.
Well, it doesn't, I don't know if that matters. Here, put the shorter people up front.
Lisa, can you see all of us?
We can actually,
So here,
we can
let's
actually
get
step up a little closer.
Come up closer, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Get the chair out of the way.
Yes,
We are getting in this picture with you, Bruce.
1, 2, 3.
Awesome.
That was all right. Don't touch my chair. I got it set just right.
He was saying that, back in the day, they had so many different things kids could do work-wise, paper routes and park and rec and all that. It's all happening.
Okay, so after that fun, we get to have more fun yet with a Baker Tilly 2023 audit report.
Well, thank you for having me here this evening. My name is Wendy Unger. I am the partner responsible for the village's audit. I believe included in your packet, there should be a couple-page handout. Wonderful. I'll use that document to go through the other documents that we issue as part of the audit process, which is both the audited financial statements and the reporting and insights document. Before I get into some very high-level numbers, I do want to just quickly talk about the audit results. So the objective of the audit was to issue an opinion on the financial statements for the village. We have done that, and included in your audited financial statements towards the front of that document is our audit opinion. The audit opinion that we've issued is a clean, unmodified opinion, highest level of assurance you can obtain, same type of opinion you've received in the past. So very similar to what you've received in the past. That clean, unmodified opinion states that the information contained within your audited statements is believed to be materially accurate. Generally accepted accounting principles have been adhered to. All disclosures that are required to be included under the standards have been included. One item I will highlight, there is an additional emphasis of matters paragraph included in the opinion for 2023. During the year and during the audit process, it was noted that there was some land that was donated to the village back in 2017 by Racine County that was never recorded on the village's books. That came to light as part of the sales to Microsoft. There was a restatement to the net position of the village, and that is included in a footnote in the audited statements back on page 35. So I just want to clarify what that meant. That doesn't change your fund balance figures, doesn't change your day-to-day operating figures. It is really a topside statement, but again, that was not picked up in your books back in that year. So just wanted to explain that. So then shifting gears and getting into some very high-level financial information. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly, but and give you some page references. Please feel free to ask any questions. Happy to try to address those as I move through. On the page where I've highlighted the various governmental funds of the village, the first column there is your general fund. This can be found on page 52 of your audited statements. But when we look at the general fund, we talk about in comparison to your budget. So the general fund at $25.8 million of actual revenue, that compares to a $24 million budget. You were over budget by $1.8 million, a positive, favorable result. And the reasons for that are really multiple. But the largest contributors to that, if we all think back, 2023 was an excellent market year. So investment earnings were significantly more than expectations. So investment income came in $840,000 over budget in your general fund. Ambulance revenue was also up $300,000 over budget. You received more in general transportation aid due to the infrastructure improvements and expansion that you've had. That was $290,000 over budget. And then more of a unique scenario, you received the Monsanto settlement, and that was $325,000 that was not anticipated as part of the budget process. Your expenditures, likewise, ended favorably, $24.8 million of expenses compared to a $26.2 million budget. So you came in under budget by $1.4 million. Again, a favorable variance. The two contributing factors to that, you budget for contingencies. There was $610,000 of contingencies budgeted for, which you did not need, meaning you didn't have some of those unexpected expenditures during the year. You also budgeted to transfer money out to your park fund, $750,000, and that did not happen or need to occur during the year. So when you look at how the general fund performed, you budgeted to use $2.2 million of fund balance during the year. You added a little bit over $1 million. So you had a positive swing compared to budget of $3.2 million. Very positive results. When you add that $1 million to your beginning of the year fund balance, you ended the year at 11.3, almost 11.4 million of fund balance. Now, fund balance really represents what you have available for working capital, contingencies, some of those unexpected expenses that may happen during the year. That 11.3 million is broken into two pieces. There's a small portion, and that's non-spendable. Those are prepaids that have been paid for, but will get recognized as expenses in 24. The remaining balance, 11.3 million, is roughly 43% of your operating budget. Again, a very strong position. We look for that to be somewhere between 10 and 25%. So you're on the higher side, but again, that gives you some good exposure when you go to market for bonding. It allows Moody's to see that as very favorable. Also affords you flexibility throughout the year if something unexpected would come up. So very positive result there. Continuing on then, moving a little bit quicker through the remaining funds. Your debt service funds, the next column, 16 million of revenue. A portion of that are monies that come in from your TID funds to pay their portion of the debt. That's roughly 12.8 million. The remaining major portion of that is tax levy. You levy taxes to make principal and interest payments. During the year, you paid 16 million of principal and interest on village debt. Again, village and TID debt would not include sewer.
Excuse me, are you still on page 52?
No, I'm back to the summary sheet.
Oh,
Sorry about that. The debt service fund then used a small portion of its fund balance, 164,000, and ended the year at 1.2 million. That's all restricted. Debt service funds are restricted until all the debt of the village is paid in full. The next column, TID 5, 163 million of revenue. Keep in mind, 2023 is the year of the land sale, so that is a very large number compared to what you would typically see flowing through that fund. Of the 163 million, 149 million is the land sales, 1.3 million of investment income, and then 9.4 million of increments. So there are some larger revenue sources. You spent or paid out 125 million during the year. A good portion of that, 90 million, went over to Foxconn to settle the agreement with them. 10 million went into your debt service fund to pay TIF debt, and then 16 million of capital expenditures during the year. A good portion of that was land right away that was purchased. So TID 5 added 37.7 million to fund balance, ended the year at 69 million of fund balance. All that fund balance is restricted, can only be used for TID purposes. The last column, titled non-major funds. These funds, that column is actually made up of the remaining 26 governmental funds of the village. Those are found on pages 61 to 63 and are an accumulation of various funds of the village. For example, this would be your water connection fees, your solid waste, your recycling, your impact fees. So a large variety. But in total, as you can see, there are 24 million of revenues collectively across those funds. A good portion of that, 11.9 million, is taxes that flow through the various funds from your levy. 2.2 million of special assessments flow through those funds. And then there was new debt issued during the year, so 3.67 million of that revenue is borrowing that was done during 2023. Those funds in total had 21.2 million of expenses, collectively added almost 3 million to fund balance. And again, on those pages that I referenced, you can see the various funds contribution. But overall, most of the funds saw a positive increase in fund balance. A few of them had some decreases, but overall, again, positive results. Those funds ended at 23.6 million. As you can see in that table at the bottom, you will see an amount in brackets. That 60,000 is what's referred to as a deficit fund balance. So those funds have either not generated enough revenue to cover expenses, which is the case. One of those, or two of those, are TID funds. So TID 6 and 7 are both at a deficit position right now, but as you can see, relatively small amounts. And then your solid waste fund also ended the year at a deficit. Moving then on to the next page, the last page of financial information that I've included here is your sewer utility. When we look at the sewer utility, we look at this a little bit differently. We don't look at this compared to budget, we look at this compared to prior year. So overall, the sewer utility at 14.5 million of revenue. That's up $800,000 in customer charges, so $800,000 more that you for the sewer charges. And then 2.5 million of that revenue was the revenue that came in from Sturdivant during the year for the project. So 9.4 million of expenses, those are up 1.3 million over the previous year, mainly in your treatment cost category. Your investment income, $632,000, and in '22, you actually had a loss. So that investment income is actually up $680,000 over the previous year. And then capital contributions, these are items that are donated to the sewer, either from the TIDS or could be from a developer, were $1.5 million. That's down actually $8.5 million from the previous year. So '22 was a big contribution year. So overall, sewer saw an increase in net position of $6.6 million compared to a $10 million increase in the previous year. Ended the year at $126 million of net position. Just want to remind you, unlike the fund balance that we spoke about previously, net position is not cash. Net position is all of your infrastructure, so all of your mains, your equipment, everything that goes along with the sewer utility, less any related debt. At the end of '23, the sewer ended with $24.8 million of cash. A small portion, almost $1 million of that, is restricted for equipment replacement. But for '23, the sewer utility saw a positive improvement in cash of roughly $7 million. And there are cash flow statements in your audited statements for your review. The last portion of financial information I just want to mention, included in your audited statements on page 29, is significant information about the long-term obligations of the village. Breaks it out between the village and the sewer utility, which would be titled business type activities on that page. Again, just a couple items I want to highlight. During the year, $8.7 million of new general obligation debt. I referred to the $3.7 million previously. There was also $5 million that went into the sewer utility. You paid down $4.5 million of general obligation debt combined between sewer and the village. And you also had some additional revenue bonds included in the sewer of $3.2 million. So when you look at your debt position, you look at that in comparison to your borrowing capacity. The village can borrow 5% of its equalized value. That equated to $263.6 million. As of the end of '23, you had $68 million of general obligation debt outstanding, so your capacity to borrow was an additional $195 million. So again, very strong position from the standpoint of ability to borrow if needed. On the last page of the handout, in addition to the audited statements, we also issue a reporting and insights document. That document we use to communicate comments and recommendations. If there are any areas for improvement, we are required under our standards to have some normal and customary communication. That is also included in that booklet. The only items I would highlight are under the material weakness section. We do call out segregation of duties as a material weakness. In some cases, you have people performing the reconciliations that also handle the various transactions through the accounts during the year. Encourage you to take a look at that if changes can be made to implement change, but always keeping in mind the cost benefit of making those type of changes, because in some instances they are not cost beneficial. Also listed there, again, just a reminder, all balance sheet accounts should have reconciliations and they should be reviewed for accuracy, and then financial statement preparation and material journal entries. None of these are comments that are unusual for governmental entities, but we are required to include them and put them in writing. As I noted, again, part of it is required communications that we need to have. Nothing unusual or unexpected in that section of the report, so nothing I need to draw to your attention. And there is a portion of that report where we highlight new governmental accounting standards, or GASBs, that will be effective for governmental entities going forward. There is one that will be applicable to the village and, again, all governmental entities for 2024, and that's the accounting for compensated absences, so accumulated vacation, accumulated sick, and we'll work with management to make sure that you're in a position to implement based on how you handle your transactions currently. Don't think that will be a major lift at all for the village. Also, on that very last page, I've included my direct line, my email address. Happy to talk with any of you about our audit process, the content of the reports. Willing to share any additional information you may like, but I'd also be happy to try to answer any questions you might have currently.
Well, Wendy, you just fed us with a fire hose.
Lots of information.
So, yes, as we process this, It sounds like a good report card.
Very good.
Anybody have any thoughts? Go ahead, Ron.
Quick, a couple of quick questions. Obviously, you don't list any concern, but is there anything which the board should be concerned about? Nothing. Second question, on page 27, you have listed material corrected misstatements. So I'm assuming, so these corrected, so the correction have already been implemented
Yes.
into the correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So those are items that are noted that come up as part of the audit process.
Yeah.
Again, because of the nature of the dollars, we are required to communicate, but those have already been addressed and approved and reviewed with management and incorporated into your books and records.
Thank you.
Thank you for a very thorough report, Wendy.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So next item is public comment. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments on any matter. Please fill out a comment form and the president will recognize you. Use the microphone and state your name and address for the public record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. We have anybody signed up? Looking out amongst the
Crowd?
I see nobody waving their hand, so we can close public comment, and we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the items on consent agenda as presented.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second on the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So the consent agenda is approved. So under new business, we have some community development issues, discussion and possible motion to approve a development agreement for Seasons at Mount Pleasant, Phase 2, with Fred, which is a fiduciary, Mount Pleasant 2 HC LLC.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve a development agreement for Season at Mount Pleasant Phase 2 with Fred Mount Pleasant 2 HC LLC as presented.
Second.
This is something that was just discussed at the Committee of the Whole. And I believe that we had some discussion at Community Development as well on this, didn't we? Any other thoughts regarding this? Actually, it's just a little bit of tweaking to what was going on. Not hearing anything, I'll call for a roll call vote.
Washburn,
Aye.
Bhatia,
Aye.
Doxey,
Aye.
Karas,
Aye.
Venturini,
Aye.
Anastasio,
Aye.
and DeGroot.
Aye, motion carries. So let's jump down to Public Works. We've got a discussion and possible motion to approve awarding a contract for TID 7 water main and sanitary sewer extension.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to award the contract for the TID 7 water main and sanitary sewer extension project to the low bidder, A.W. Oaks and Sons, Inc., in the amount of $4,047,936.
Second.
So I hear a motion and extension, or excuse me, and a second regarding the extension. This is something that we just discussed at some length at the Committee of the Whole. Claude, if you'd like to just, or Tony could as well, just touch on this to give us highlights.
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. So this project has two components, one being a water main extension west down Spring Street from Highway V to the I-94 East Frontage Road, and then south down the Frontage Road to Highway 20 to provide that looping. And the water main will immediately serve the Educators Credit Union headquarters per the agreement they have with the village. And eventually it'll serve the greater Spring Street corridor. The second component would be the sewer extension, which essentially will extend from Highway V to about 1,000 feet east of the frontage road. And that'll provide that sanitary service to the Spring Street corridor. So we received 6 bids. As we've been seeing with other projects that are out there, we're getting a lot of competition, which is a good thing. And we're satisfied with the numbers we have, so we recommend approval.
Any thoughts from trustees?
This was discussed at our utility meeting, and again, I think we saw this tonight in the COW meeting when we talked about the project we're going to be awarding next week or next meeting. But we've had lots of competitive bids, and they've actually, in some cases, I can't remember if this one was lower than our engineer's estimate, Tony, but we've had several that have been lower than even our own estimates.
Most of them, this one is slightly higher, but still very, very competitive numbers.
Excellent. Okay, so in the matter of the TID 7 water main and sanitary sewer extension, roll call vote, please.
Washburn.
Aye.
Bhatia.
Aye.
Doxy.
Aye.
Karas.
Aye.
Venturini.
Aye.
Anastasio.
Aye.
DeGrave.
Aye. Motion carries. So then we've got item B, which is discussion possible motion to approve awarding a contract for KR Water Main Extension Project to the low bidder A.W. Oaks and Son for an amount of $1,512,807.05.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to award the contract for the KR Water Main Extension Project to the low bidder, A.W. Oaks and Son, Inc., in the amount of $1,512,807.05. We gotta collect that nickel, not leaving any money on the table.
That's right.
We gotta round this stuff up.
And we discussed this at the committee of the whole meeting, and if,
Second.
well,
I wasn't sure if Nancy was done making her motion about the nickel.
Sorry, that wasn't really part of the motion,
Oh,
but.
we can discuss that now. Tony or Claude, if you'd like to just jump in.
Again, as we discussed earlier this evening, again, we had it out for bid. This is the last water project we have to fulfill our obligation to the city as well as Foxconn and Microsoft to complete the loop out in TID 5. This is the water that'll run from Wisconn Valley to Highway H. It's just a complete 12-inch, just completing the loop. Again, we got 11 bidders on this project, so it's very competitive.
Yeah.
And this one was under the engineer's estimate,
That-
substantially.
That's what we were thinking of.
We recommend it for approval.
Okay. Any other thoughts? All right. So there's a motion for the KR Water Main Extension on the floor, and we'll call for the vote. Roll call, please.
Washburn.
Aye.
Bhatia.
Aye.
Doxy.
Aye.
Karas.
Aye.
Venturini.
Aye.
Anastasio.
Aye.
DeGrove.
Aye. Motion carries. Reports, anybody?
Mr. President, I'd like to congratulate the Tourism Commission and the Parks and Recreation Department. Last Tuesday, we had the last concert at the campus park. So the season for the concert is open, and I think it was, is concluded, and the community has embraced it and welcomed it so much. I think you were there, many trustees were there. It was, a bumper to bumper and very well received. But the expectation of the community for the next season are even higher.
Well, I think you're right. For an inaugural program,
Yeah,
it was
so
very
again,
well received. I think exceeded expectations.
Very well done, and I think that speaks for what the community is all about the quality of life, and not only for the village of Mount Pleasant, but for the whole region. So just wanted to bring it up.
I attended a few of those, and the comments and the compliments that we get on that park, that facility, how that's all turned out, there's just,
Yeah.
over the top. Good stuff. So, with that in mind, one last motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I hear a motion, a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.